Good evening, and I welcome you, students. We started the story of atoms and molecules last time, and we have told you the search was on to find the smallest particle of the matter. And there are two important laws of chemical combination which we discussed. What are the two laws which we talked about? Which were the two Lavoisier and Proust have given two important laws of the chemical combinations: law of conservation of mass, and the second was law of constant proportions. It was when a chemical reaction will take place, what will happen? The sum of the masses of reactant will be equal to sum of the masses of the products for an isolated system, if we close the system. So this information was there now, and they realized the difference between elements and compounds. Elements are combining to form compounds like H2O. And when they do so, they so in a definite proportion by mass. As you have seen in the case of H2O, hydrogen and oxygen are combining in the ratio of 1:8 by mass. Now the problem was to give appropriate explanations of these laws. How to explain the two laws of chemical combination. And John Dalton, a scientist, was studying these laws, and he proposed his own postulates or his own atomic theory. That was the first atomic theory which came forward, which is given by in 1808. He presented his atomic theory, which was a turning point in the study of matter. This is very important. Dalton is very important. Why? Because Dalton's atomic theory, it was given in 1808. You can see 1808. This was an important theory which was a turning point in the study of the matter. Up to now, you are seeing different types of matter around you, and these matters are made up of tiny particles, which Dalton said are atoms, and he said these atoms are indivisible. These particles cannot be further subdivided at that time in 1808. So that is important. And what is Dalton's atomic theory? The postulates of this theory have been given. Let us see and study the postulates. What we think? What are the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory? And you know, these postulates have been given after he studied the laws of the chemical combination. Let us see, student, what is the Dalton's atomic theory? According to Dalton's atomic theory, all matter is made up of very tiny particles which are called atoms. That's the first point. Important. You can take any matter. Everything around you which occupies mass and volume is a matter. You know, whatever substances you are using, whatever your body, yourself, the air which you are inhaling, the sky, the clouds, whatever you are seeing, what if anything has mass and volume, then it is made up of tiny particles, very tiny particles. So this is what was the talking about, the smallest particle, which he said atom. That is the first point. Second, he says atoms are indivisible particles which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical action. This is an important point. It's still valid. Today we know that atom has got subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons, that we have discovered after this, after the experiments were done, cathode rays experiments and other discovery of electron, proton, neutron, that is known to us today. But important point to note that in 1808, You can see this is 1808. Atoms are indivisible, which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Now, what do you mean by this? Very important point. What is a chemical reaction? You have seen when a chemical reaction takes place, what happens? For example, if I say hydrogen combines with chlorine to form HCl, is it a chemical reaction, students? Tell me, is this?
Yes, sir.
Now here you can see that these are molecules of hydrogen atom. How many? There are two. It is made up of two hydrogen atoms. 1 and 1, 2. There are two hydrogen atoms. In this you have two chlorine atoms. Now, what is happened here also in HCl? What has happened? There is a hydrogen atom and there is a chlorine atom. And how many are there? 1 and 2. So interesting that the atoms are still there in HCl. Are they not there? They are there. Hydrogen atom is there. Here also you have hydrogen. Here you have 2 and you have 2 here. You have chlorine and chlorine. You still have 2, but new compound has been formed. Therefore, this is very important point. That atoms are indivisible and cannot be created or destroyed in whenever a chemical reaction is taking place. Atoms, what is happening to the atoms? So they have not been destroyed, they have not been created. But what has happened? You can see what is the result of this. There is exchange of atom. What I see exchange of atom has taken place. Yes or no? Fast.
Yes, sir.
Okay, be with me, students. So this is very important statement. Is still valid. That a chemical reaction is taking place. Atoms are not created or destroyed. They are still there. And in modern, we know that these are the electrons, valence electrons, which are taking part in the reaction. We will explain this as we proceed further in 9th, 10th, and other classes. But this point is very important, as we see here. And you already know atoms are so small. Can you see the atom? No. Can you see them? No. With your naked eye, can you see with a microscope? No. Only nowadays we have electron microscopes, machines which can see them. So, third point, atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical property. Another very important theory which is given by Dalton. What we talk of elements, student. For example, hydrogen is an element. Carbon is an element, nitrogen is an element, chlorine. How many in the modern periodic table? You will see 118 elements. At that time, supposing 30 elements are known in 1808. So, what he says, atoms of a given element. Atom of hydrogen, if I say atom of hydrogen, student, let me say, if this is an atom of hydrogen, then the mass of this and its chemical properties will remain same. Very important point. Because it is made up of hydrogen atom. But if I go to carbon atom, if you say carbon atom, supposing I represent carbon and supposing I represent atoms by spheres here, as I'm showing, will the carbon atom be same as hydrogen atom? How it can be if they are different? If they are different, then what will happen? Atom will have some mass, yes or no? They will have masses.
Yes, sir.
We know that everything, anything, even the tiniest of the tiniest particle has mass. The mass may be very, 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 very small. But mass will be there if a particle exists. So there will be a mass, but will the two masses will be same? They cannot be same because they are different atoms. Two different things, can they have the same mass? If they are different, they will have different masses. So atoms of different elements, if atoms are of different element, nitrogen element is different, chlorine is different, sulfur is different, now I say uranium is different, and so many elements we are talking about. Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, helium, neon, argon. If they are different elements, they will have atoms. Different atoms of different elements will have different masses and different chemical properties. Clear? Fourth point, important. The properties of these atoms will be different from the properties of hydrogen The properties of chlorine atom will not be same as the properties of hydrogen or carbon or any other element. As we study more and more chemistry, we will see their physical and chemical properties. That is a story of 1808. Postulates given by Dalton is important, as I said, turning point in the study of matter. The first time we're talking of small particles inside the matter and different elements we're talking about. Elements, mass of the small particles. Different elements have different atoms and different atoms have different mass, different property. That is why you see different type of substances, malleable, ductile, hard, brittle, and chemical properties also. Some react with oxygen, some do not, some react with water, and all reaction and other substances, because they are made up of different elements. And these elements, further, atoms combine in ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. What it means, student? What is happening? If I say 2 atoms of hydrogen are combining with 1 atom of oxygen, these are the 2 atoms of hydrogen spoiling, and you have 1 atom of oxygen. They are combining. You know what they form? You have oxygen, then you have hydrogen, then you have. Now what they are forming? This is example for the formation of H2O. Atoms combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. H2O is a compound, student. How it is formed? 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen have combined to form a compound water, which we have written. If I represent the spherical shapes as atoms, you can see that they are combining in which ratio? Hydrogen 2 atom, oxygen 1. It is not that hydrogen 10, 100 and oxygen 500. As a, we are not saying like that. They are combining in simple whole numbers. Ratio of simple whole numbers to form compounds. It is still valid. Next postulate. What is that? Relative number of kinds of atoms are constant in a compound. Very important. This is coming from which law? Which law is this, which we studied in the law of chemical combination? Law of what laws we studied? Laws of chemical combination. Which is this law? Based on law of constant proportions. So he has studied the laws of chemical combination. After that, he has given his atomic theory, atomic postulates. Relative number and kinds of atom are constant. When I say water, it doesn't matter. You bring water from any source, student, it will have 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. Makes no difference. So you can take any source, it will be same, students. When we say compound is carbon dioxide has 1 atom of carbon and 2 atoms of oxygen. How you produce it has no problem, no difficulty. The number and kind of atoms are constant. Important. Number and kind of atoms are constant in a compound. When I write a compound NH3 ammonia, this is ammonia compound. Here the number of atoms of nitrogen, how many? You have 1. Hydrogen, how many atoms? You have 3. They will always be constant. Whenever you have ammonia, these atoms will always be constant. So these are the atomic theories of Dalton. They are look to be quite strong and valid. But what was the main problem which came with the Dalton's atomic theory? Can you say everything looks so good in 1808? What is the main problem which, because of which the theory has to be discarded? Few of the points of theory are still applicable. But what is the major drawback? What do you think? What is the major drawback of this Dalton's atomic theory? Do you have any idea what could be the major drawback of Dalton's atomic theory? What do you say, students? What could be wrong with this theory? Everything looks so good. Be with me, student. Keep on thinking. This is important. Let me sip a drop of water. I always say, "Oh, water, heal me," and I sip water. Water has healing energy. Do you have any idea
No, sir.
Okay. You are aware today the atom has got subatomic particles. So when we say atom is indivisible, this part is not going to be correct. Is atom indivisible? You know about protons, neutrons, electrons, and there are other subatomic particles which are present inside the atom. So that is the most important point. After the subatomic particles were discovered, the whole idea of Dalton's atomic theory is out. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
So students, the important point is the everything looks to be important and very valid as we talk of Dalton's atomic theory. The only problem is when the subatomic particles are discovered. So then the Dalton's atomic theory falls. And let us see more information about this. Questions we have solved on this student. Let us talk of what we are talking about. So student, we are now having an idea of atom. That matter is made up of very, very tiny particles, which we call as atoms. Naturally, the next question is, how big are the atoms? How big is the atom, student? Can you see atoms? The answer is no. If I give you, okay, here is water. This is my water, student. Can you see water? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But the water, it is made up of very tiny molecules, water molecules. Can I see one water molecule?
No, sir.
And that water molecule is made from the hydrogen, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So we can't see them. They are too small. How much? Much beyond our imagination. More than millions of atoms, when stacked, would make a layer of barely as thick as a sheet of paper. Can't believe it. If I say, student, supposing here I have water. If I have water, student, and in the water you are saying you have 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. 1 atom of oxygen. And if I take 18 grams of water, student, you know how many particles are there? How many water molecules are there? Do you have any idea? I'm saying around 6 into 10 power 23 molecules of water. Students, what is this number? 10 power 23. You are aware of 1,000, 10,000, million, billion, trillion. What is this number? Bigger or smaller than them?
Bigger than them.
Bigger than them. Trillion, trillion, trillions, what I'm talking about. If you write it, then you will see, oh my God. The 18 grams water, if in my glass, this contains so many molecules of the water. So you can imagine, student, how small and tiny will be the particles from which the water molecule has been made. How small will be the hydrogen atom? How small? Very, very small, beyond our imagination. Oxygen atom, very, very small. But the two cannot have the same size, cannot have the same mass because they are different elements. That Dalton's point is still valid. See the intelligence of Dalton, that is still there. When atoms are made from different elements, they are not same, they are different. What is different? Their mass will not be same, their properties will not be same. Interesting. Okay, well. So students, this is interesting that what scale our eyes can see, what we can measure, and what things you are aware of, student. You have seen 1 meter, 1 centimeter, 0.1 centimeter. If I put a dot Even you will say, oh sir, how will I measure this? Is look very small. But that particle is much, much, much smaller than even a dot. Dot is still visible to me. Can you see the dot? Yes. But
Yes,
what
sir.
about this? No. So very important point, student. We are saying atoms are very small, smaller than anything we can imagine or compare. More than millions of atoms when stacked would make a barely as thick as this sheet of paper. So this is a story. Okay, and today, what are the relative sizes? Some idea is given in the NCERT book. What is the relative sizes? How do we determine relative sizes? As I said, now machines are available like electron microscope. By using them, we can find the sizes. See, radius of the hydrogen atom. The smallest atom is hydrogen atom. In the periodic table, you have seen hydrogen atom written at number 1. We say, we'll explain all these things, atomic number of hydrogen 1. And what is the size here, students? 10 minus 10 meter, student. What do you think about this size? Will you be able to see this size? 1 meter
No, sir.
10 minus 10 meter. This is the size of the hydrogen atom. And the molecule of water which I was talking about, this water molecule, which is made from, this is the water molecule H2O, student. H2O. What is the size of this? What is the radii?
10 power
Here the
minus
sizes are being given in terms of the radius. I mean, assuming they are spherical in shape. They are spherical in shape. Very tiny particles, so spherical in shape. 10 minus 9. So can we see the molecule of water? No. You can see the water. The answer is yes. Molecule of hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin, student? You have seen blood HP? Hemoglobin. It is present in the blood. And that is 10 minus, it is a big molecule. It is a big molecule. 10 minus 8 meter. Grain of sand. Can you see grain of sand? 1 grain of sand. Just I put a dot. That is 10 minus 4. This I can see. 10 minus 4 meter. And ant, can you see the ant?
Yes, sir.
10 minus 2. And watermelon, 10 minus 1. So you compare these and you see how small are these size of the atoms. How small are they? Very, very small. Is that right? You have some idea
Yes, sir.
now? When we give the number, student, it gives us some idea. Okay, student. All right. Now, student, what is an element? Element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down by any physical or chemical means into simpler substances. When I say hydrogen is an element, carbon is an element, oxygen is an element, nitrogen is an element. So it is a pure substance. Can we break it by physical or chemical means? Answer is no. You cannot break a hydrogen atom by physical or chemical means. I'm not talking of nuclear reaction, students. And in nuclear reactions, everything is possible. I'm talking of by physical and chemical means. Physical and chemical means. What is the physical and chemical changes you know in chemistry? Physical changes, no new substances are found. In chemical changes, chemical reaction takes place and new substances are formed. But atoms are not broken in chemical reaction. Just like I shown you hydrogen and chlorine reacting to form HCl. The atoms were not broken, they are still there. And there is only rearrangement of the atoms as you see that. So element is a pure substance that cannot be broken by any physical. And how many elements do you see in the periodic table? In the modern periodic table, student? you will see about 118 elements. Naturally occurring maybe only 92 or something. Others are man-made. How they are made, that we will study later on in nuclear reactions. We are able to produce them. They are existing only for a transitory period of time. They are man-made, synthetic. An element is a substance that cannot be broken down into other substance. So I cannot break it into other like carbon or anything. Every element is made up of only one type of atom. Very important. When I say hydrogen element, which atom is present in the hydrogen element? Hydrogen atom. It has only hydrogen atom. There is no other element, no other atom present in hydrogen element. And when I say this is a carbon element, it will have only which atoms?
Carbon atoms.
Atoms of carbon. Once I know that these atoms have subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, electrons, we will tell you later on that hydrogen atom has one proton and one electron. Because of this atom cannot be seen. And if I say this is carbon has 6 protons, we will tell you what are protons and electrons. They are the subatomic particles which are present in the atoms, as we will be studying over there. If I say there are 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons, they are present in an element of carbon. In an element of carbon, they are present in an element of hydrogen, student. So since the subatomic particles which are present inside the atom are different, can they be same?
No, sir.
No. Can they have the same mass? No.
No, sir.
So they will have different masses and they will have different physical and chemical properties. They will have different properties, students. Every point note down because everything is important, very important. So we know what is an element. It is a pure substance and it is made up of only one type of atom and you cannot break it by physical or chemical means. So these chemical elements are different. And that is the reason you see so many types of substances on the earth or in the universe. If everything was made up of only one atom, same atom, then everything will be same. Even we won't exist. The human body, how it is there, everything is made up of very, very tiny particles, but different elements are there. So they combine in different ways and produce different compounds, different substances of which the different materials, different things are made up of. So everything in the universe contains the atoms of at least one or more element. Is it clear? Let you take anything in the universe. Can you name a few things in the universe? You name anything in the universe. Let it be your food, what you are eating. Let it be the chair on which you are sitting. Let it be the laptop which you are using. Let it be the pen I am writing. The clothes which I am wearing. What do you think everything is made up of? What you are saying now? Everything contains atoms. And it could be at least one element will be there. And most of the things will have more than one element to make those substances. But if we talk of compounds. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, note down, students. Let me heal myself by sip a drop of water. All right, very interesting. Interesting, students. So, and Dalton was a great genius. He was the first scientist to use symbols to represent elements. You are saying there are elements. What are elements? We have just told you that the simplest pure substance which is made up only one type of atom and cannot be broken into more simpler atoms by any physical or chemical processes. So at that time, how do we represent the elements? What he used? You can see we have shown certain balls. This look like spherical. Everything is spherical, like balls. And he at that time certain elements were given such names: oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon. You can see we have drawn some circles, and inside we have the symbols of elements. Tin, T, nickel. Can you see that? At that time, this is the symbols. Because you say there are elements you have to represent on a notebook or somewhere. How will you have to use some representation? That is a old representation. And this is the genius man, Dalton. So symbols of the some of the elements which would be known at that time are here for our information. And you can see how different elements have been represented at that time. Dalton symbols of the element. These are the symbol given by Dalton. Very interesting, huh? Is it not interesting? Tell me.
Sir, it's interesting.
They are of different size and different mass, but just they have been shown like small spheres. All right. So this is a way. Man always want to represent student by some symbol. If you see the old history, you have seen they used to write on walls also. Walls. They used to use some symbols of animals you will discover in some old places. What animals were there? They have drawn on the walls also. They are still there. All right. Very good. So student, what we are saying in the beginning, the names of the elements were derived, how they were giving the names to the elements. From the name of the place where they were found for the first time. For example, copper. How does the name of copper came, student? Where it was obtained, copper was taken from Cyprus. Cyprus is the name of a place, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So they got copper from Cyprus, so they named it copper. No, it has a glittering and brown type of glitter on its metal, copper metal. So it came from Cyprus. Some names were given from specific colors. Sometimes what they said at that time, colors of the elements were used. Gold was yellow. Gold was yellow in color. Gold is yellow in color. So the gold meaning yellow. What is the meaning of gold? Yellow in color. Yellow in color. So certain colors at that time were known and they were given those names. And nowadays what you are doing? IUPAC student 1, 2, and 3. What do IUPAC stands for, student? International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. 1961, IUPAC, they have given the names and approved the names of the element. Many of the symbols are first one or two letters. What are these? Many of the symbols are first one or two letters of the elements. Okay? The first letter of symbol is always written as a capital letter, uppercase. First letter always kept. For example, if I have hydrogen, what is the first letter of this? H.
H.
Capital H I write. If I consider aluminium, student, aluminium, what is the first letter?
A.
A is written capital and the next letter is written smaller. What is that? You will see small l. If I write like AL, that is wrong. Clear?
Yes.
This is not a capital. First is capital and second one is a lowercase. This is a what we call as student capital letter. Capital letter uppercase. This is called uppercase. and this is second letter, small letter. Small letter, students, lowercase. Lowercase. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
If I have, they have asked a question that they have given a question. If I have a cobalt student, how will I write cobalt? C is the first letter capital.
Yes,
And
sir.
CO will be small. If I write cobalt as this, is it correct?
No, sir.
Wrong. It is wrong. We can't write like that. So these are the way the symbols of the elements were designed after the Dalton, the IUPAC has taken over. And other symbols have been taken from the names of the elements in the Latin, German, or Greek. You know, Latin, German, or Greek words have been used a lot, student. Latin, German, you will see that in the history, a lot of name of Greek civilization. They have given their names. The symbol of iron is from its Latin name ferrum, iron. Iron is a very important element which you are using. And what is it called? Iron. Iron is Fe. Fe. Now why iron is Fe? Is there any F here? No.
No.
Any
sir.
E? No. But the symbol comes from Latin name. The Latin name is ferrum, student. Ferrum is the Latin name of iron. So here you see F and E. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
That is what they are used here. If I say sodium, now it started with SO, but what is the symbol of sodium? Can you tell me? Have you seen in the periodic table symbol of sodium? How they write sodium?
Na.
N capital A. So it is not there. So where it comes from? Again, there are Latin name of sodium was natrium. Natrium. See the Na? Natrium. This is a Latin word, student. Certain symbols have come from Latin words. Now they will say potassium. What is the symbol of potassium? Tell me, students, if you have seen the periodic table.
K.
K. Now K, where is K? Here there is any K? No. And the other name of this coming from the symbols Latin was Kalium. And here is the K, which came for the potassium, Kalium. Therefore, each element is different. Each element has different mass. Each element has different properties. So the name should be same or different? Tell me. When different things are there, they will have different name.
Yes, sir.
So that is why, students, every element has a unique name and a different chemical symbol. We cannot give same symbol to two different elements, can we?
No, no, sir.
Okay. So what is the story of this? We are saying, student, that different elements will have different symbols and different names. Different elements will have different symbols and different names. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, student. So all this we have to learn, student. In the book, you will see the names of the elements, symbols of the elements, at least the important ones. First 20 and few importants must be learned by the students. As you will study more and more, you will start learning. Note down everything. All right, we reached up to the Dalton's atomic theory. name of the element, symbol of the element given by Dalton, and then by IUPAC, and the modern names which you see in the modern periodic table and the list. They should be learned for most of the elements. You will start learning as you start using them, writing them, and it is important. We have to learn them, because without that, how will we study chemistry, students? Chemistry will be the study of all these elements and their compounds and their preparation properties, everything we will study. Okay. Here I give you, student, names and symbols as approved by IUPAC, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Now, can you tell me what is the symbol of nickel? Nickel. Do you see nickel?
Yes, sir.
How it is written? N is capital, I is small. Nickel. Copper, important. Zinc, important. Silver, we use silver ornaments. What is the symbol of silver?
AG.
AG, student. This is important now. Learning symbol will help us because it is a short form of that. Mercury, where you are using mercury?
In thermometers.
Okay, what is the symbol of mercury then? See,
Hg.
actually is nothing to do with air, but as I said, Latin words are there. Gold. Gold is important. What is the symbol of gold?
AU.
A capital U. By writing, we try to remember them because we are going to use them, students. These are very easy. We already know. As I said, most of the symbols which we are going to use in this lecture and in the coming your atoms and molecules for the 9th and 10th class. This you must learn. What is this? Hydrogen, H. Helium, He. Lithium, Le. Beryllium, student. Beryllium is an element. What is the symbol?
BE.
Beryllium, Be, students. Carbon is so famous an element. Carbon, the symbol of carbon is C. Nitrogen is important. Oxygen is important. Fluorine. Neon. What is neon, student? You know, these are called noble gases. Neon is a gas, noble gases. Why they are called noble gases? All this is a part of chemistry we will study. They are noble because they do not react. They are very stable, very stable. They exist as neon. Sodium, student. Very interesting. Sodium, Na. We have given you from the Latin word, it is derived. Magnesium, you will do in the chemistry lab. Take a magnesium ribbon and heat it at the burner and see dazzling flame, dazzling flame. This is sodium. What is magnesium? Mg, students. Note down everything important. So here are some of the names and symbols of, these are not a complete list, but whatever we will be using a lot about them. Sulfur, phosphorus, silicon. You have heard about Silicon Valley? Where is the silicon?
Yes, sir.
Where is it? Chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Do you have calcium in your body?
Yes, sir.
Where the calcium is present? Inside the body.
In the bones.
They are saying eat calcium. Oh, calcium deficiency. Iron deficiency. Iron is very important. Iron. So note down everything, students. We are going to learn them, and students must know their names and the symbols. As we study chemistry, they will be used. Note down everything. Next, student, I'm talking of atomic mass. Student, what is an atomic mass? Does an atom has a mass? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Everything has a mass, you know, anything. But the mass of atom will be very, very small because you are saying it's a very, very small size particles. So actual masses of atoms are very, very small. Then what I will do? If the atom is very, very small, in our daily life, what measurements you are doing? You are measuring grams, kilograms, micrograms, nanograms. And what happens if the mass is even very, very small? You have nothing to measure it. You can't measure the mass of one atom. Can you measure mass of one atom? And at any shop, maximum you go to jeweler, they are having very, very sensitive balances. So here, interesting thing, the atom of hydrogen has a mass of how much? Can you imagine? Can you measure this mass?
No, sir.
10 minus 27 kg. You have seen 1 kg, 100 gram, you have seen 50 grams, you have seen 10 gram, you have seen, and then beyond that, you go to jeweler shop. So 1 gram, or I'm saying nanogram, how will you measure, student? This is not possible. So the problem is there, student, the size of the atom is very small, mass of the atom is very small. When we cannot measure something, what we do in science, students? What we do in science? What we use a relative scale, that we know that different atoms have different masses. And from the chemical reactions, we know which atom is heavier, which is smaller. How many times? How it was studied at that time? By the laws of the chemical combinations. By the laws of chemistry. They are reacting nitrogen with hydrogen, and they see how many grams of nitrogen reacts with how many grams of hydrogen to form the compound. So using that idea, they were able to find the relative masses of atoms. But I'm saying relative masses. In a class, if there are 10 students, we can say now which student is taller than the other. Relatively, we can say that. I choose one standard and say, okay, this is taller by this is lower by this. So when we cannot measure anything exactly, then we have to use some relative scale, student. Relative to this, carbon 12 is the atom of carbon, which is important because it has 6 protons. 6, we will explain in the coming classes what it means, and mass number of 12. It is taken to be standard, student. The atomic mass of all other elements are determined by comparing the mass of their atom with the mass of a carbon atom. And mass of carbon 12 has been determined now by machines which we call as electron. Other machines are available now. Scientifically, it is possible to measure the masses of the atoms also. So they defined a scale what we call as a 1 atomic unit, 1 atomic unit, or 1 atomic mass unit. This is defined as exactly 1/12 the mass of atom of carbon. What is this? Mass of 1/12 the mass of carbon is called 1 atomic unit, student. The atomic mass of element is relative mass of an atom as compared with the mass of carbon 12 taken as 12 units. Now you got the point that carbon 12 is a very stable isotope of carbon. And the atomic mass of that is 12 units. 12 unit, I'm saying 12 unit. And we compare the atomic mass of other masses with the carbon 12 atomic mass. So atomic mass of element is relative mass of an atom compared with mass of carbon 12, which is taken as 12 units. And 1 atomic unit will be 1/12 the mass of the carbon atom. 1 atomic unit will be how much? 1/12. Got it?
Yes, sir.
The mass of carbon. Note down, student, important point. So what I'm saying, the mass of atom is measured in terms of atomic mass units, which is defined to be 1/12 the mass of an atom of carbon 12, or how much is this? How much is 1 AMU? Now you can see that is equal to 1.660 into 10 minus 24 gram. See the mass? 1 AMU, student, atomic mass unit is now written as 1 U. 1 U is equal to, how much is this value? 1/12 mass of an atom of carbon 12. Carbon 12 is a stable isotope of carbon, which is equal to how much? 1.66. The number you can see, 538,921 into 10 minus 24 gram. Can you see the value? How small is this? How small is this? This number, have you ever seen it? Unbelievable. And the mass of atom will be inside the atom. There are subatomic particles which we will be discussing in later classes. That as a proton, neutron, and electron. The sum of the three will give the mass of the atom. So there is a proton, neutron plus electron. Note down, students, everything. All right, student, we are stopping at this stage because we will be discussing a new topic and further in the next class. And you note down up to now what we have given, what is the key takeaway, what we have told you, the Dalton's atomic theory, how important it was at that time, and then the symbols of some of the elements were given by Dalton, and then IUPAC has given a scheme to give symbols to the elements. Different elements will have different masses and different properties, but each element will be having the same type of atom. And these atoms are rearranging in chemical reactions. They are neither created nor destroyed. That statement of Dalton still valid, no problem. So we will continue more about this in the next lecture. Okay, then I will meet you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.